your friend.
I'm afraid my mind's a complete blank.
Don't worry, Mrs. Bell. I wouldn't have let you take the test if I didn't think you were ready for it. Here, you'll need this.
Oh, thank you. I wish I could relax. I haven't felt so nervous since the day I got married. If only my instructor was testing me, then I know I'd pass. I wonder what my examiner's going to be like. I hear so many terrible things about them.
Ministry of Transport, Senior Driving Examiner speaking. Ah, good morning, Miss Brooke. Yes, we were asked about that last week. It has been attended to now. Well, of course. Just let me know if there's anything further I can do for you. Yes. Very well. Goodbye.
What's the news from the hospital, Frank?
I saw the wife last night. She says the doctors don't expect the baby until tomorrow sometime.
That means it'll arrive at midnight, just like my first.
Thank you.
Good morning. Mr. Saunders, please. Good morning, Mr. Saunders. Will you sign against your name, please?
Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Richmond. Would you sign against your name, please?
Mrs. Bell? Mrs. Bell?
Would you lead the way to your vehicle, please?
Good morning, Mrs. Bell. Would you sign against your name, please? Thank you. Would you lead the way to your vehicle, please?
He looks quite human, really. He even gave me a smile when he said good morning.
Mrs. Bell, have you any physical disability that isn't declared on your application form?
Physical disability? No, I don't think so. Unless you count palpitations and butterflies in my stomach. I wonder if he knows just how nervous I really am.
We realize that most candidates are nervous when they take the driving test. It's very important that the examiner should do all he can to put them at their ease. Well, this is one of the things we should be teaching you during your 4-week course as trainees at the Driving Examiners School. Now, the main object of the test is to ensure that the candidate knows and puts into practice the basic principles of safe driving. With more and more vehicles coming onto the roads every year, this is even more important today than it was when the test was first introduced in 1935. But you won't only be learning about the standard laid down by the Ministry for the Test and the system of carrying it out throughout Great Britain. You'll also find that we lay great emphasis on a uniform technique by all examiners. And this includes the treatment of the candidate, who must never be allowed to feel that the examiner is unsympathetic.
Now, Mr. Carter, your turn.
Mr. Bates?
Yes?
Would you sign against your name, please?
I haven't got a pen.
Oh, sorry.
That's better.
Sure. Will you lead the way to your vehicle now, please? Shall I go on?
Yes. Carry on with the questions you would ask a candidate on the way to his car.
Have you any physical disability that isn't declared on your application form?
No, I don't think so.
Which is your car, please?
That one, over there.
Would you read the number plate of that car over there, please?
Which one?
The dark-colored one by the lamppost.
Yes. You must make sure that the candidate understands exactly what you mean. He must never feel that you're trying to catch him out or trap him. The number is HYH 340C.
Right. Will you get into your car now, please? Follow the road ahead unless I ask you to turn. I'll tell you which way to go in good time. Right. Move off when you're ready, please.
That's not bad, Mr. Carter. But you must avoid using the word right. The candidate may think you're telling him which way to turn. You still need to practice a lot, Mr. Carter, and you must try to relax. If you come into the waiting room looking so serious, the candidate will think it's at a funeral.
I know, but earlier on you said that we mustn't smile too much.
The truth is, you've got to be a bit of a psychologist at this job. No two people are the same. If you're chatty to some candidates, they may complain that you're being familiar or interfering with their concentration.
If you smile, you're sneering. If you frown, you've already failed them before the test starts.
I can see the problem.
Whatever you do, some people will always complain that the examiner's against them. The most important thing is to put them at their ease. If candidates appear to be tense, try to get them to relax so that they do themselves justice during their test.
Would you read the number plate of that blue car parked over there, please?
ONM 456.
Thank you. Would you get into your own car now, please?
Well, at least I got that right. Wish I didn't feel so nervous about the rest of the test.
Try not to worry, Mrs. Bell. It's natural to feel nervous beforehand. Anyhow, you have a fine day for it.
Yes.
Will you move off when you're ready, please?
Follow the road ahead unless I ask you to turn. I'll tell you which way to go in good time. Move off when you're ready, please. Take the next turn on the left, please.
Not too bad so far. Wish he'd give me some encouragement, though, like my instructor. But then I suppose he'd also have to comment if I did something wrong, which would be terrible. Of course, it's all right for him. He's only got to sit there and watch my mistakes. That's easy enough when you're an expert.
Now, you all had to pass a stringent driving test before being chosen for training as driving examiners. So, it may surprise you to learn that a large part of your training here concentrates on your own driving. This is because an examiner cannot possibly apply to others the minimum standards of driving set by the Ministry of Transport for the driving test unless he is himself a driver of the highest possible standard. To ensure that you all meet this high standard, we shall be sending you out every day on training drives, 2 of you to an instructor. And I should warn you that in addition to daily reports on your progress, there'll be a series of tests for you to pass.
Look well ahead for road signs and always make full use of what they tell you. Now, you must keep well over to the left and give plenty of room to that vehicle in front. Now, be ready to slow down. That car at the junction may not have seen you. That's where the danger is. Okay, Mr. Carter, now I'd like you to do some commentary driving.
I'm driving a large saloon car on a busy main road heading north. The road surface is damp, visibility is good. This is a 2-way road with center of carriageway markings. I see a roundabout ahead of me, and it's my intention to go straight ahead. I'm on the correct course at present for this hazard. I brake slightly and change down into a gear that suits my speed. Move slowly into the roundabout, remembering that I must give way to traffic from the right.
Your comment is improving, Mr. Carter, but you're still describing things after they've happened. You must think ahead more.
I'm now increasing my speed because I've entered a de-restricted area. There are a number of vehicles bunched together ahead of me. I'm adjusting my distance to avoid the need for any sudden braking. I'm now dropping my speed slightly as a car is about to overtake me to allow him to pass. The road ahead is clear, 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. And I check to see that I'm driving within the limit.
Pull in at that lay-by on the left, will you?
That's not bad, Mr. Carter, but you're still tending to brake a little late. If you do it sooner, you won't need to brake so hard, which is safer. As you know, today is the last day of your driving training. From tomorrow on, we should be concentrating on the correct method of carrying out the driving test itself. We do this in different cars. Now, Mr. Carter, once you've got the candidate safely in his vehicle, what's the next phase of the test?
To give the candidate a short drive so that he can settle down before being asked to do anything more difficult.
How long does it normally last?
About a mile.
Well, that depends on the test route, of course. Something like a mile anyhow. And what comes after the natural drive?
The emergency stop.
That's correct. People worry about this, so we like to get it over with as early as possible. Now, I'll take the part of the candidate. You give me the necessary instructions.
Would you pull up on the left at a convenient place, please?
Carry on, Mr. Carter.
Very shortly, I shall ask you to stop, as in an emergency. The signal will be like this. Stop! When I do that, stop as quickly as you can, with safety, as though a child had run off the pavement.
I see.
Drive on when you're ready, please. Stop! Thank you. I shan't ask you to carry out that exercise again. Please drive on when you're ready. That road on the left is the one I should like you to reverse into. Drive past it and stop, and then back in and continue to drive in reverse gear for some distance, keeping reasonably close to the curb.
I should be able to do this all right. Heaven knows I've practiced it often enough with my instructor. At least you know in advance the things they expect you to do during the test.
We're now on the main body of the test. After the reverse, what's the next exercise? Mr. Simpson?
The turn in the road.
Correct. And then?
The hill start and moving away from behind a parked vehicle.
That's it. Of course, you may have to vary the order to suit the circumstances, but these are the special maneuvers that have to be included. Okay, let's move off. Mr. Carter?
Drive on when you're ready and turn left at the end of the road. Pull up on the left, just past the lamppost.
Now, Mr. Carter, give me the wording for the turn in the road.
I'd like you to turn your car around to face the opposite way, using your forward and reverse gears. Try not to touch the curb when you're turning.
Yes.
pull up here, just past the lamppost, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Drive on when you're ready, please.
I wonder what he keeps marking on that paper. I thought I did that hill start quite well, and I know I looked behind before I moved off. Maybe he's doing his football pools.
It is vitally important that the standard of assessing faults is uniform. This is the DL25, the form on which you mark the candidate's faults as and when they occur. Well, there are three basic marks. A line like this, which indicates a minor fault. A cross, which indicates a fault which is potentially dangerous. And a D, to indicate a fault which is actually dangerous. Right. Now let me demonstrate these faults with this model here. Here's an example of a minor fault. This car is turning right at an open corner where there's good visibility and there's no other traffic approaching. Now the driver cuts the corner slightly, although the road markings are clearly shown. Now that is bad driving, but it doesn't endanger the driver or anyone else on the road. A potentially dangerous fault is illustrated by this car, which turns left in front of a cyclist. Now the driver of the car didn't touch or hurt the cyclist, but he obviously wasn't driving with due regard to other road users and could have caused an accident. Now, a dangerous fault. That's demonstrated by the driver of this car, who is turning right at a T-junction. He emerges without a final look to the right, which causes oncoming traffic to swerve or brake to avoid him. A dangerous or potentially dangerous fault means automatic failure, but a minor fault will not normally fail a candidate.
Will you pull up at a convenient place along here, please?
Yes. Good heavens, are we back already? It seems 5 minutes ago that we started.
Actually, it's been a little over half an hour. Now, I'm going to put some questions to you on the highway code and other motoring matters. What is the meaning of the amber traffic light on its own?
Oh, that means it's going to turn to red. I've got to stop unless it's unsafe to do so.
Thank you. What particular care should be taken when parking at night?
Parking at night? Oh, you should park with the near side to the curb and make sure that the headlights are off.
Thank you.
Mr. Richmond, what do you understand by the double white lines down the middle of the road?
Double white lines? Well, they show the side of the road which you've got to drive on.
Thank you.
Oh, no overtaking, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Richmond. That's the end of the test. I'm sorry you haven't passed, but your driving hasn't reached the required standard. If you'll give me a few moments, I'll help you by marking the items to which you should give special attention.
Well, what have I done wrong, then? That's the second time I've been failed. Here, why are you marking me for mirror? I was looking at it all the time.
I'm sorry, Mr. Richmond. I'm not allowed to discuss the test with you. I would suggest you show this form to your instructor, and it'll enable him to help you. Have you got a copy of this booklet on the driving test?
When may you overtake a vehicle on the left?
When it's pulled over to turn right, or if I'm going to filter to the left.
Well, it's the end of your test, Mrs. Bell, and I'm pleased to tell you you've passed.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my husband will be pleased.
Will you read out the number on the top of your driving license and the name of the issuing authority, please?
13 1245448, Greater London Council.
Is your address the same as on your application form?
Yes. Just wait until I get home and tell Jim I've passed. He'll never believe it. He really is quite human.
Will you sign your name and put your address here on this pass certificate, please? Thank you, Mrs. Bell. Good morning.
Thank you. I've passed.
Good.
I'm glad she passed. It's always unpleasant having to fail people, particularly when we're not allowed to discuss the test with them. That was one of the things that worried me most when I was at the training school.
But surely it'd be more useful if we could explain their faults verbally at the end of the test.
It's a good point, Mr. Carter. And at one time, that's exactly what driving examiners did. But it was found that many candidates were not in a suitable frame of mind to listen to criticism of their driving after having just been failed. In addition, very often they were unable to remember having made the mistakes, even when they were pointed out. And the explanation could develop into a long and heated argument, which meant that the examiner would be late for his next test. Now, we believe that the statement of failure form, on which you underline the main faults committed on a test, is the most useful way of helping both the candidate and his instructor. A competent instructor should have little difficulty in explaining the marking to his pupil. Of course, this question of instruction is one of the most important things about the test. As you know, all driving instructors approved by the Ministry of Transport are well qualified, and candidates who have been properly trained and who only take the test when their instructors are sure they're ready for it should have no difficulty in passing first time. Well, now you've been here a month. Your training's almost finished. When you take up your first posting, and indeed throughout the whole of your careers as driving examiners, there is only one standard to be applied to the driving test, whether it be on a car, a motorcycle, a track-laying crane, or a pedestrian-controlled milk float. Is the person you are testing competent and considerate and not a danger to health or to anyone else on the road?
Oh, Bob, I've been going through your program for this afternoon.
Oh, yes, I've got a couple of cancellations after lunch.
Yes, that's what I thought. I wanted you to go to the building site in Barton's Lane and do a mobile crane test. Frank here was going to do it.
Where is he?
The hospital was on the telephone. The baby's arrived. It's a son.
Good for him. He can take his L plates off now. Mr. Brown?
Yeah?
Good morning, Mr. Brown. Would you sign against your name, please? Will you read the number plate on that van across the road, please?
EGV 597D.
Follow the road ahead unless I ask you. I'll tell you which way to go.